Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Nanas, and I will be discussing the US versus China in the categories assigned for the week. So, the factors of production for US and China. Within the US, there are four crucial components of production: natural resources, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Its natural resources include larger areas for growing crops and numerous natural harbors by the vast coastline that are in possession of the U.S. And there are lakes and rivers near the border, which helps to transport um, goods quicker through the U.S. China is at 406 billion compared to the 14 trillion by the US based on the purchase power parity, and China has been rated the world's largest economy. The dollar also stretches farther in China than in the US, and it has um, looked like it will surpass in other economic areas as well. For the economic structure between the US and China, the US is known to have the largest consumer market on earth due to the population sitting at approximately 325 million people and counting. Aside from the great size of the US market, investors are drawn to the quality of life of the US because it displays and it is seemingly business-friendly environment. China's competitive advantages consist of its organic way of connecting to emerging markets in the region, their positive labor employer relations, and favorable tax regimen and solid rule of law. China, which came in at second ranked for ease of doing business, and the US came in at number six. The wages, poverty, and jobs. Oops, excuse me. Okay, let's go back. The wages, poverty, and jobs in the U.S., workers who were full-time and year-round employees declined 13.7 million between the years of 2019 and 2020. And then the poverty levels increased in 2020, of course, per the pandemic, by 11.4% from the 10.5% average in 2019. After 5 years of consecutive declines, this was the first increase in poverty levels since then. And then China's economic growth has been fairly steady and continues to have a strong job market and high labor force employment rates, and that's due to the high production um, rates of needing to produce and having those labor workers. Since there are no minimum wage laws in place, Singapore, China, residents never know if they will have enough opportunity to make money to live on. In 2012 to 2015, the poverty increased 43.45% within those 3 years. And then the elderly actually, within the elderly, the poverty rates increase a lot higher because of the lack of being able to work at their older ages. The banking and the policies. Um, so the SPB, the special purpose bonds the local government uses, is one of the crucial ways that the government funds infrastructure and other public projects in their own area. Investments like these are one of the ways to boost economic growth. And then China's fiscal policies include tax rebates and fee cuts and special purpose bonds. The government includes refunds, waivers, reductions to the corporate income tax, the value added tax, and the individual income tax to help businesses during the pandemic. So they are constantly helping out the people um, during rough economic times. And then the U.S. has many different banking systems that generally function about the same way. So the retail banks, commercial banks, credit unions, they all are a place to have to keep your checking and savings accounts. And then to ensure maintenance of the U.S. economy, the government controls employment and inflation at lower levels. In order to achieve this control, the government utilizes two particular processes, again, that we're talking about, the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. And then in terms of GDP, principal export imports and growth levels. The US was number one in the world in regard to its economy in 2020. It is number two in total exports, number one in imports, and GDP per capita was eighth in the economy and ninth in the most complex economy, according to the Economic Complexity Index. In comparison to the US, China was 36th in the world for the economic standing in terms of GDP. They're number 19 in total exports, 17 in total imports, and the GDP per capita. They stand at number 10 in the economy, and according to ECI, they are number 6 for the most complex economy. And that concludes my presentation. Just comparing China to the US, it just seems that they have um, different ways of keeping their economy boosted. Um, and I just think it's great since we do so much business with them that um, the economies stand differently and also because of the number of people we have. Um, but this was a very interesting project and I learned a lot about both countries and the economy and business. Thank you very much.